Hello and welcome to the second part of this current project for a client. Last week you saw me create those raised sleeper planters for them to plant vegetables in. As I touched upon last week, we've got these three beehives here. There's about 80,000 bees in there. So I'm going to be creating a mini wildflower meadow. The customers have already got this lovely area here for them, but we're going to be digging out all what's here, making sure everything we plant there is going to be a nectar source for these bees. So as you can see, there is a mix of plants already in here. Some of them are going to be good for pollinators, but there's a lot of grasses and more sort of carpet growing plants, should we say, in here. I'm going to be digging. There are some foxgloves as well at the back, which obviously we're going to be keeping. But I'm going to be clearing all this area, loading this up with some low nutrient subsoil, which is what wildflowers like to grow in. I'm going to be planting or sowing a variety of wildflower seed plus some more established plants, sort of kickstart the area. But we're going to make sure that everything we plant in here is going to help these 80,000 bees that live over there. All right, let's get clearing. So this area has been dug out and cleared. The only things that I've kept in here, these verbenas and the foxgloves over there, obviously they're really good. The nectar source of pollinators, so they're definitely staying. And obviously this log pile as well, fantastic habitat. I'm going to build up some more of the soil to cover the lower half of those a bit more. You can get some stag beetles, wood lice, centipedes, anything like that is going to like eating and living around the damp areas of those logs when they're submerged in soil. So that's what I will be doing there. So the next stage is to load in the low nutrient subsoil and then level it all off, and then we get some plants in here, and then we'll get the seed sown. So all of the low nutrient subsoil is all loaded in, raked over. Before I sow the variety of wildflower seeds, I'm going to be planting some pre-established plants, and these are all pollinator friendly. Obviously got all the bees over there, so I've got these 6 lovely foxgloves. They're going to go at the back. These love the shade. They're a woodland plant. As you can see, I kept one of the original foxgloves over there, and it's sort of 4 foot tall anyway. So I'm going to start filling these in these rear sections. They're going to good framing against the fence. Now I know foxgloves do have a little bit of a bad name in terms of they are poisonous to cats and dogs, but you've literally got to cut these leaves up and feed them to a dog to, you know, get any sort of illness out of them. Most dogs are not going to have this, or should I say eat these. Now more importantly, my customer doesn't have dogs. They've got 80,000 bees, so foxgloves are far more important. These are going to be fantastic pollinators. Over here I've got these 2 goras. These are also known as bee blossom. These grow quite magnificently big, lovely colour plants. These are going to want a bit of a sunny spot, so I've whilst I've been working here the last week, doing the raised planters you saw in last week's video, we've just been keeping an eye on the areas where the sun does come through this sort of woodland glade type area. So I've already noted where these will be going, and then over here we've got the salvia caradonna, one of my favourites to plant, and then we've got a nepeta, again all fantastic for pollinators. These are going to go in a bit more of a sunny spot, again probably over this area here, and then the rest will be sown with the wildflower seeds. So they're all planted. So starting over here, this is the original verbena that was already here. I've left. Got one of the new foxgloves, the digitalis, for those of you who like the Latin names. We have one of the goras down here, another gora here. Again, these chosen particularly because certain times of day they're going to get a decent amount of sunshine on them. Then I've got three more foxgloves, 1, 2, 3, sort of shady woodland glade areas. We've got the nepeta, and these grow nice and big, and honestly these are like a magnet for bees and butterflies over the summer months, so that's a good spot for that. I say this would be getting the early morning sun comes in from that way, comes down here, so that's going to be hit with a lot of good sunshine up until sort of midday. And then we've got the original foxglove that's already here, and then I've added 2 more, 1, 2, and then down here we have the salvia caradonna, again in a nice sunny location for the early morning sun and the mid to late afternoon sun like it is now. The sun's just coming around, so it's going to get it both ends of the day, as well as the nepeta there. So these plants have all been chosen because they are bee friendly and butterfly friendly, pollinator friendly if you like, hoverflies as well. Wasps are going to be on them, moths. And I keep going back to it, the customer's got 80,000 bees over there, so these are going to provide a source of nectar and pollen. Bees eat both. They use nectar as their form of energy, it's their carbohydrate if you like. That's what they use for flying, getting around, and also creating the honey that we love, and what they create obviously to store for winter when all the plants have died back, and that's what they actually survive on in the winter. And the pollen is their protein, so that's what they use for building their hives and making young. So yeah, nectar and pollen is what these bees eat, and this is what we're providing. Okay, so all the wildflower seeds have been sown. I covered them with a loose layer of the subsoil, and then I've given everything a good water. As you may have seen in the video, I sort of did 2 passes. At the first pass, close to the back in the shadier section, I sowed a woodland mix that's more for heavy shade orientated wildflowers, and then in the middle to front section I did a mix of bee and butterfly friendly plus traditional English or UK native wildflowers. So a nice mix in there. The thing is with wildflowers, you've got to be a little bit patient. They don't all flower within the first year. Sometimes it'd be in the second year you'll notice it, and even up to sort of 4 years. And you'll notice things in the second year and the third year that you never even realised you had there. It's just the way that they grow. You've got a mix of the annual and the biannual and everything in between. So yeah, don't expect everything to be there in the first year. Also, you've seen, as I mentioned earlier, I've added that subsoil just to partially submerge those logs to get a bit more insect interest over there. So yeah, that is everything planted, all ready to grow, and hopefully it'll be another habitat or feeding ground, I should say, for all these lovely bees that the customer has. Well, as always, thank you for watching. Hope you found it interesting. Hope it's given you some ideas of different plants and types of seeds you can plant in the shady and sunny areas in your garden to help benefit bees and indeed all the pollinators that we have here in the UK. If it's something that you'd like in your garden but you're not able to do it yourself, give me an email, give me a call. All the details are here. I'd love to come around and see what we can do for you to help you out in your garden. And likewise, in last week's video where I did the raised vegetable planter beds over there, if that's something you'd like in your garden, or indeed all the wildlife ponds that I create, or the aquascape ecosystem ponds with the waterfalls and the streams, give me an email, give me a call, check out all the previous work. There's loads on this channel. You can see the kind of work that I undertake, and all the lovely reviews people have left for me in my Google page, so check that out. You won't be disappointed. Until the next one, bye bye.